We all know that in order to get ahead at work, we have to show some seniority and leadership. But what is leadership exactly? A few years ago, I had the same very question, and I picked a very random book called Act Like a Leader, Think Like a Leader. And you might be thinking, oh, she probably did a lot of research to pick this book and read this, but absolutely not. I was very new to the topic. I just Googled what is leadership, and this is one of the first books that came up, and I just ordered it. And it completely changed the way I look at leadership. You see, very naively, I was in a place where I thought that you have to work hard enough until someday you get your position, somebody gives you that senior position, some leadership or executive position all of a sudden to you, and surprise, from tomorrow you're going to be a leader, a manager or a director of a department or a group or team. But I was so far away from the truth. Because it's not how it works. Leadership is not about a position or a title. Instead, I learned that leadership is a lot of activities and a lot of behaviors that you inherently show so that you finally get that position that you want. It's not the other way around. So in today's video, I want to talk about 4 key takeaways or 4 lessons that I took away from this book that has been absolutely transformative in my journey. And I'm sure it will help you too. The first lesson that I took away is that any optimum change actually happens externally. Probably this lesson or this learning is the most general and profound learning of the 4 that I'm going to talk to you about today, because this one applies to every change that you want to have in your life. Think about when you wanted to go on a diet. You wanted to cut sugar, you wanted to have some fat loss, you wanted to burn more calories or eat less, whatever you wanted to do. What is the worst way of changing that a lot of us actually do? Is that we keep all the stuff, all the sugary stuff, all the oily stuff, all the fatty stuff in the house. And every day we have to struggle with ourselves. Every day I have an internal battle that I'm not gonna eat that, I'm not gonna look at it, I'm not gonna do anything about it. But the better way is actually not to buy this stuff in the first place. So this is what I mean with changing that happens best externally. If you change your surroundings already, you're setting up yourself best for success. Instead of being in a not optimum environment and situation and then expecting yourself to perform well according to the standards and according to the goals that you've put to yourself. Now, what does this have to do with leadership? Well, for a lot of us, leadership is actually a change. Because you can only be a senior or a leader when you have gone through it the hard way. Once you have become super specialist in your job, once you have become super good at whatever that you are doing, that now you maybe want to take ahead and be a people manager or a thought leader or a director in a company, which means that you need to get rid of or leave behind everything that you were great at before and start taking a new position that you know nothing about. And this is a change for a lot of us. And as I said earlier, a lot of us go about it the wrong way. We wait for the day that we get the position to start leading. We wait for that final title to give us the authority to start giving our opinion, influencing other people, and have some thought leadership. So this is the old way. This is the super not good way of going around leadership or any change you want to go for that matter. So what do? And what is the new way? The book calls it an outside actually, which means that you first have to change the way you act in order to change what you think of yourself and what other people think of yourself. So once you change your behavior, regardless of what you think or what other people think, the position and the change that you're really going after will get closer to you even effortlessly. So coming back to leadership, if you start acting like a leader already before even having a position, a senior leadership, or anything that gives you the authority or even the place to do that, if you start showing some seniority and leadership already before anything has happened, that gives you a better chance of actually becoming a leader. Instead of waiting for a day until somebody gives you that position, which is very likely to happen, by the way, if you don't show any signs of leadership. And then in that day, you were like, okay, finally I'm a leader or a manager of this place. Now I have to start showing some leadership. It's not how it works. It's not the optimum way of going around it. So what I urge you to do is to start showing up some seniority and leadership behavior in order to get that senior or leadership position that you really want to go after. The second learning that I want to talk to you about today is you have to be strategic. It's not a nice to have, it's a must have. It's non-negotiable. You have to be strategic in whatever you do. But what does it mean to be strategic on a day-to-day basis? It means that from whatever you have to do, You have to pick the ones that have the highest impact and the lowest effort. That is the simplest way of putting a strategic way of working. This is the way that you start working smart instead of working hard. Being strategic has a lot to do with having the ability to do prioritization. Knowing your priorities, how you should go around putting levels and layers of everything that you have to do is the basis of your success. Now, why do we talk about being strategic when we're talking about leadership? Because when you want to go about leadership positions, you need to already show some seniority signs and leadership positions, as I just told you about. And for this to happen, you need to have some visibility and working on projects that are very important for the people that you want to impress. Therefore, you have to be very strategic in the projects or the tasks you do because you have a goal in mind. You just don't want to be the one who is the most hardworking and the hard performer. That is all good, but maybe not enough for a person who wants to go the extra mile. So the way you could be more strategic when it comes to leadership is actually understanding what are the priorities of your company. Now, the more senior you are, probably you are more aware of the company's KPI, vision, and mission. But if you're more junior or media, you're probably way farther away from that, which means that you really need to work hard to understand those priorities. You can talk to your manager, you can talk to your other peers. Once you know what does success mean for your company, then based on that, you need to prioritize your tasks and whatever you do. The third learning I want to talk to you about from this book is that we shouldn't really get in the trap of a specialist. Now, some people make this conscious decision that they want to be a specialist. They do not want to go to the avenue of a generalist. And I totally respect that, as long as you're clear with yourself that this is what you want, not something that you are trapped in subconsciously and automatically. So if you want to be a specialist, you can skip this lesson. But if you do not want to be a specialist for the rest of your career, you need to listen to this. When we are on the journey of our careers, until a certain point, we keep getting better and better at what we do. Therefore, we become more of a specialist day by day. But at a certain point, we just cannot get a better specialist. We're probably the best specialist in town or in the city or in the state. So this doesn't satisfy us anymore. So we have to go to a generalist role to become the leader or a people manager or a manager for the line of business or the people who need my specialty, but also need some guidance and vision. But this very thing can become a trap for a lot of people because it's super easy for us to keep doing what we are so great at. We have a really hard time letting go of this because we went to university for this, we worked hard, we worked day and night for this, we have done a lot to become the specialist. And now we have to put this aside and take a completely new role of a generalist and have some leadership capacity and showing some seniority signs for something that we have no idea about. It's pretty scary. I'm super good at something. Why should I put that aside and take on a new challenge? And that's where the trap is. So if you're there, make sure that this is a conscious choice that you are making for yourself. Do not stay there if you are afraid of letting go of something that you're super great at, or that you're afraid of taking on a new challenge, which is leadership or management. And please remember this saying: what got you here will not get you there. Whatever you did to come from point A to point B is not going to help you go from point B to point C, because point A to point B was you becoming a more specialist, but now your goal is to become a leader, so you cannot do the stuff that you did in order to go to the point B. You have to do other things. You have to show some signs of leadership and seniority already before reaching the point C, so that one day you can reach it. My fourth learning is that just being a manager can also be a trap. Again, if you are making a conscious choice that you want to be just a manager, so only doing managerial things, that's okay. I'm talking about people who want to be leaders, but maybe are trapped in only managing. Let me tell you about how leadership and management are running on completely separate grounds. Now, this is hypothetical, thinking that we could actually draw a line between leadership and management. In reality, it's not like this, but just for the sake of explanation. They say that leaders do the right thing, whereas managers do the thing right. So that's the fundamental different thing. A lot of leaders are creating vision, foresight, different futures that other people cannot see. They're questioning things, they're influencing, they're having opinions, they're changing things. Whereas only only management, they are trying to manage complexity. So a project has been defined and there are multiple complexities. We've got certain time, certain people, certain capacities, certain resources, certain money. And then we say, hey manager, can you help us manage this complexity? And this is only doing management work. So only doing management work doesn't really have the foresight or the vision or the different futures really in mind, because the time spent for only management is actually shorter. It's usually about a project that needs to be accomplished. It's usually about a complexity that needs to be navigated. It's usually about something that has gone wrong that in a shorter time span, the manager has to take care of. Whereas a leader has to think longer term, think about the future. Maybe they will cancel some stuff, add other things on the roadmap to find the right thing to do so that the manager can do the thing right in the most optimum way and the most efficient way. So if your ambition is to be a leader, you find yourself doing a lot of managerial work and you feel so comfortable there, that's a trap. This is not leadership. Leadership means giving direction. Leadership means having influence. Leadership is about having impact. So if you want to be in that only management role and it's a conscious choice that you have made, perfect. Otherwise, it might be a trap for you. And there was it. These were the 4 learnings from this book. Act like a leader, think like a leader. It was probably, for someone like me who didn't know a lot about leadership and just randomly picked a book and started reading it, this was actually transformative for me. Because as I said, I really thought that someday when you get that position, you're gonna make a change. Or someday when this happens, you're gonna share your opinion with this person. And someday. But what I learned is that you have to start showing some signs of leadership and seniority from wherever you are in your company. And this is a faster way to get you what you want. If you've also read this book, let me know what you think and hope this was helpful for you. Thank you so much.